Serious question. Have you noticed that quitting cannabis in the year of 2025 seems particularly difficult? If you have, it's because you're probably not wrong. With the higher concentration THC cartridges and dry herbs and flowers, a lot of people are experiencing some pretty significant cannabis or THC withdrawal symptoms. Just like I experienced over 9 years ago when I quit consuming cannabis products, among other substances. Since then, I have now helped thousands of people overcome cannabis substance use disorder, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips to help you manage these withdrawals in 2025 on easy mode. Tip number 1, especially if you're struggling with cannabis withdrawal symptoms, is going to be to drop expectations in the first 90 days of quitting cannabis. A lot of people will go into quitting cannabis with a series of expectations, and these expectations typically live in one of 2 camps. Camp 1 is the person is going to quit cannabis and they expect that they're going to feel a bunch of really bad withdrawal symptoms. They're going to have headache, irritability, brain fog, and this overall inability to function on a day-to-day basis. And they become very, very fearful because of these expectations. A lot of people in Camp 1 won't even wind up trying to quit cannabis because they become so scared of the potential withdrawal symptoms. People in Camp 2 have expectations that they're going to quit cannabis, that it's going to be super easy, and all of these life-changing events are going to occur for them. They're going to quit. They're going to be over the withdrawal symptoms in 3 to 7 days. And then after 7 days, they're going to fix their marriage, fix their finances, fix their mental health, fix their physical health, and, be fully present in their career, their business, to make a whole bunch of money and live happily ever after. In Camp 2, what often happens is people have unreasonable expectations because they overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do over the course of a year being sober. Their expectations don't become reality fast enough, and then they wind up choosing to going back to using the substance, not relapsing. We never use the word relapse in our programs. Choosing, making the conscious decision to going to consume drugs again because their expectations didn't match their reality. So what I tell my clients when I'm working with them, and this went a super long way for me in my own journey overcoming a cannabis substance use disorder, so I could get back to doing the things I love in life, getting my energy levels up, getting my work performance up, getting my family performance up, getting my mental health back, was just to drop all expectations for the first 90 days of quitting cannabis. The mantra that you can adopt to achieve this, because a lot of people will say, well, Dr. Frank, how do I do that? How do I let go of expectations? Come up with a mantra for yourself. My mantra that you can feel free to use is, it is what it is. For the first 90 days of quitting cannabis, and I was also overcoming a nicotine substance use disorder and stimulant substance use disorder at the same time, I just said to myself, it is what it is. So if you wake up one day and you're having one of those withdrawal symptoms, cravings, instead of making a really big deal about the cravings and getting in your head and turning it into something that it's not, because a craving isn't a big deal, try and say to yourself, it is what it is. If you wake up and you're having a great day, you feel really good, high energy levels, low amount of cravings, just wake up and say, it is what it is. After you drop and let go of expectations, the next thing that you should do is commit to quitting for a longer duration of time than you originally thought. This is especially going to apply to people in Camp 1 or Camp 2 who might be experiencing prolonged withdrawal symptoms. A lot of people don't understand that cannabis, THC, stores in your fat cells, which can result in a very prolonged detox process. I've had clients that I've worked with, and we have people in many cases do the at-home drug testing. We use a kit called Exploro, their multi-level test kit off of Amazon. and we'll actually track the rate at which they're detoxing THC from their system. And I've had clients where it takes 90 to 120 days just to clear THC from their fat cells. Once that occurs, now your body can start making its own endocannabinoids again, and your brain can start to rebalance itself, which is what's responsible for the withdrawal symptoms. I tell people that 90 to 120 day mark because, again, a lot of people will go into quitting. They'll have false expectations of how quickly they're going to feel better. They'll only commit in their mind subconsciously to, hey, I'm going to quit for 15 days and see how I feel. I'm going to quit for a month and see how I feel. When in reality, step number 2, you should be committing to quitting for a much longer period of time than anticipated. A lot of people I find, and I made this mistake a million times on my own journey, becoming recovered from cannabis substance use, is that they give up right when things get really tough, but it's right when things get really hard that you're probably on the verge of a breakthrough. This is right when you're in the first 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months of quitting, and that major life tragedy comes up, that major stressor at work comes up, that argument with your husband or your wife or your children arises. This is when so many people throw in the towel, and this is where the magic happens. Right when things become most challenging is usually right when you're on the verge of that breakthrough for your quitting cannabis journey. So that is when you have to commit to quit. How do you do that? Practice being committed to something. If you're really struggling to do that with cannabis, maybe make a commitment, a smaller one in your day-to-day life, like making your bed every morning when you wake up, or laying out your clothes for work the next day prior to going to bed, and just try and stay committed in that decision for 90 days. Really, really simple things. Start to build some commitment, start to build some strength in that commitment muscle, and then you can apply it to eventually quitting cannabis. Tip number 3, super important for people who are going through withdrawals, especially if you're getting that nausea and headache and those stomach problems, which can be really, really uncomfortable, is going to be to have a set of goals that you hope to achieve in quitting consuming cannabis. Now, you can have small goals, you can have moderate goals, and then you can have large goals. Small goals you look to accomplish relatively quickly, moderate goals maybe a few months, and then larger goals are bigger accomplishments, maybe bigger challenges that you're facing that are likely going to take years, if not several years, to achieve. Now, what do goals have to do with overcoming withdrawal symptoms? And how do you determine what type of goals you should be setting for yourself when you quit consuming cannabis? I want you to think of it like this. Have you ever worked super hard at your job to save up some money and been super disciplined in your spending so you could take your family on a really nice vacation or treat yourself to some nice event or some nice series of holidays or travels? Well, what was the reason that you stayed motivated to work super hard? Well, chances are you had some goal in mind. And it doesn't have to be a vacation or a holiday. I'm just thinking of that now as I'm traveling with my family. It could be buying a new phone. It could be doing something nice for a family member, right? It could be altruistic. It could be that you want to give to someone else that money. But if you've ever worked super hard to accomplish something, the working hard, when the going got tough and the going got rough and you felt like quitting, chances are you kept going because you had a goal in mind. And if you've ever had that before, I want you to pause and think about that, or comment below about some goal that you tried to achieve that was super challenging. Because quitting cannabis and getting through the withdrawal symptoms is actually no different. What you're going to want to do is come up with a set of goals, a set of things that you're excited about, and I'll help you figure out what that is in a moment. Because then, when you're going through really nasty cannabis withdrawal symptoms, if you wind up getting insomnia and stomach pain and headache and really bad cravings and irritability, you can look forward to your future goals and say, hey, at least this is going to be worth it. At least I'm working towards something. So many times people look for videos that talk about cannabis withdrawal, giving tips on maybe supplements or nutrition, and I have hundreds of videos on those topics. But the most important thing is the mindset. And that's what we help people with. If you're enjoying this video, you can check out the link in the video description to learn a little bit more about some of the types of people I helped overcome cannabis substance use disorders. Link in video description. Now, how do you figure out what your goals are going to be? Most of this answer is going to be rooted in the reasons why you quit consuming cannabis. So you quit to attain better physical health. You quit because it's straining your relationship with your significant other, and that's negative. That stress of the relationship problems are negatively impacting your work performance in your business. Maybe you're like the recent grandparent that signed up for our programs and you want to get better physical health because you have the desire to keep up with your beautiful grandchildren that have been brought into this world, right? And you're looking to enjoy this next chapter of life in retirement. Maybe that's your reason why you quit. So your goals are going to be determined by the deeper reasons, not the superficial reasons why you quit cannabis, the deeper reasons behind your why. Now we have to be really careful though when you're setting goals, because we don't want the goals to equate to improper expectations. Let's take that example of that lovely grandparent who just signed up for our programs. If their goal is better physical health so they can keep up with their grandchildren on a day-to-day basis, well, we have to be realistic about how long is it going to take to attain physical health. And then we have to ask ourselves, are there other barriers aside from cannabis addiction that might hinder us in reclaiming physical health down the line? Once we know that, then we can set proper expectations. But it's going to take some time to figure out, and that's why we say early on, just drop all expectations when you quit. Now, tip number 4, and this is maybe one of the most important ones when it comes to overcoming cannabis withdrawal symptoms, is getting yourself within the right community of people. Because if you wind up in the wrong community of people, it can turn a cannabis substance use disorder into a lifelong problem, even years after you quit consuming the substance. That's the last thing I wanted for myself. That's the last thing in the world I want my clients to fall for. When I talk about getting in front of the right communities and with the right communities of people, what I'm referring to is getting around people who have similar interests and similar goals to you. Now, I always try and seek individuals who are doing slightly better than me in some category of life that I'm looking to improve. So if me and my wife are hanging out with other couples, I'm hanging out with people who, at least as far as I can tell, have really strong values and who have a really strong family life and who have a really strong marriage. I'm not interested in hanging out with people who are fighting all the time, who have a horrible dynamic with their children. And I'm not judging that. It's just because I'm not going to learn anything from that. The same thing goes with my business. I'm a business owner. I have multiple businesses, and I'm always trying to surround myself with individuals who have similar goals to me. Growing a YouTube channel, growing an e-commerce company, growing a big brick and mortar private practice. I also own chiropractic offices. These are the individuals that I want to be around because I need to be able to relate to them. Because if I'm in the wrong group of people, I'm going to start to feel really bad about myself. I'm not going to get helpful input, and then it's not going to allow me to continue to kind of level up in life. So the community you put yourself around should be people that you strive to be like, not just in one, but maybe in many aspects of life. For me, this was a major problem with the idea of recovery and quitting substances because the only communities I was ever introduced to were AA programs, 12-step programs, Narcotic Anonymous programs, Marijuana Anonymous programs. And quite frankly, I didn't have the goal of getting sober. I had the objective of quitting using substances so I could go accomplish better mental health, better physical health, apply those things to my business, apply those things to my relationships, apply those things to my physical fitness, so I could then, afford to take my family on a beautiful vacation one day and truly get to relax. The last thing I wanted to do was sit in a room full of people talking about something that I no longer cared about, something, cannabis substance use, that no longer deserved my attention. So I put myself in business communities, I put myself in fitness communities. If you're a faith-based person, a faith-based community can be a great thing. It just depends on what your why is, what your goals are, and what you're looking to achieve. Now, for those that click that link in the video description and learn how to work with me one-on-one to overcoming a cannabis substance use disorder, we'll also wind up sharing with you a little bit about our private community for our one-on-one coaching members, which is primarily made of high-performance individuals looking to excel in multiple areas of their life, but substance use just seems to be holding them back a little bit. So make sure you find the right community. Make sure that you have a set of goals that you're looking to accomplish. Remember to remain committed for a longer period of time than you originally thought. And then lastly, make sure that you drop all expectations. Also, when you're in the right community, keep in mind, you're going to get support, and that's super beneficial when you're going through the withdrawal symptoms. Now, if this wasn't enough to convince you that these things are important, I want you to follow me right into the next video where I talk about the danger of potentially going to a rehab facility. And I'm not talking about a medical detox. I'm talking about something a lot different.